Now I continue with the first chapter, water as a solvent. So in the last class we studied about water as a solvent and even other aspects. So now we will take up another topic now buffer action. So first of all, we need to know what are buffers. So buffers are the solutions for chemicals which reach the change in pH. So buffers are mainly the solutions of substances which resist the change in the pH. So resistance means prevent. Resistance means to prevent. So the solution will prevent the change in the pH. So generally called as the buffers. So generally by adding acids and as well as alkalis, so the change in the pH is prevented. Change in the pH is the prevented. So such solutions are called buffers. So here generally weak acids and weak bases are generally used as the buffers. So there are buffers are used in many reactions where the constant pH is to be maintained. So that's why maintenance of pH for the maintenance of a certain pH, so buffers are very essential in many reactions, even in many activities. Okay, so here generally weak acids and weak bases are generally used as in the buffers. So example, so acetic acid and acetic acid, so which gives the H plus ion. So here sodium gives sodium ion. So here, so weak acid and weak base are generally used as the buffers. So here the sodium acetate reacts with the HCl. HCl is now very good to say weak acid. So acetic acid, sodium acetate reacts with the acid and to form what you call the H plus ion. And another one is the sodium acetic acid reacts with the base sodium hydroxide and it gives again H ion. So like that, so weak acids are weak bases, so generally used as the buffers. And what is the importance of the pH particularly? So most part of our body, so maintain the pH of the most part of the body is negative, except the system where there is a slight change in pH. So anyway, the pH affects many biological molecules. So our body consists of various molecules. So here the pH affects the change in the pH. Generally, the pH is the factor which affects the biological molecules. So that's why maintenance of pH is very much important. So that's why for the maintenance of certain pH, so buffers are easy. Then the protein structure. Our body is composed of so many proteins. So the protein structure change with the change in the pH. So that's why certain pH is to be maintained for the maintenance of the proteins. So for the maintenance of certain proteins. So protein structure change in the pH. And you know very well, all enzymes are proteins. All enzymes are proteins. Hence, so here generally they are structure dependent. So first of all, proteins are very much relevant. Proteins are the larger compounds which are present in our body, and generally they are change. So the change in the pH. So for the normality of the proteins, the certain pH is to be maintained. So otherwise the protein structure is going to alter. Another one, all enzymes. So our enzymes are very essential for so many activities in our body. So here all enzymes are proteins and they are all the proteins are structure dependent. So as they are structure dependent, so here the pH is going to change or alter the structure of the enzymes. So if the enzyme structure is changed, definitely so that affect various functions in our body. So that's why the pH maintenance is very much important. And for the maintenance of pH, so the some substance solutions are they are called as buffers. So that's why buffers are very much essential for various for the maintenance of certain pH. Particularly weak acids and weak bases are generally used as the buffers. Okay, that's all about the buffer action. Okay, so next coming to another topic, that is osmoregulation. So osmoregulation, the word so first coined by Cowper in 1902. The word osmoregulation osmoregulation find by Auburn 1902. And what exactly the osmoregulation? Osmoregulation is a dynamic process and that is the maintenance of suitable internal environment. Maintenance of suitable environment. So regulates that process which regulates water salts movements from the body fluids to the external environment. So osmoregulation is a dynamic process that is very essential for the maintenance of suitable internal environment. So by the movement of water and salts from the body fluids to the external environment. Okay, and that is for the independent life. So here, so Clarence, one scientist, so says that so constants of internal medium is very essential for independent life. So Cloud defines the osmoregulation as a constancy of internal medium, constants of internal medium essential for independent life. So including man, all life, they are leading their own independent life. So because of this osmoregulation. So here take one word, the osmosis. So what is osmosis? Osmosis is nothing but the movement of molecules from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Movement of molecules from higher concentration to the lower concentration. So that is so constant internal environment is maintained. So that is for independent life. So for example, if we take the human beings, so we are leading independent life. Okay, so for leading independent life, so we have so many physiological processes are taking place in our body. So that is how we are leading independent life. You can take the respiration. So respiration is carried by the particular organs called lungs. And for the excretion, so we have kidneys. So kidneys perform the function of the purification of the blood. So that's why. So now that is how we are leading independent life. If these organs get out of order, maybe lungs and maybe kidneys, then we too get support from other equipments or other instruments. So that's what for independent life we have our own physiological, our own mechanisms in our body. So that is how we are leading independent life, respiration, excretion, and even digestion, etc. So other than this, we too depend on other equipments or other processes. So that is how the maintenance of our body maintained constantly. And here based on this osmosis or osmoregulation, so animals have been classified into different types. For example, echinoderms, cytoglyphs, these are some of the life forms which are recorded as phycotherms as well as homeosmotic animals. So mainly animals are classified into maybe phycoosmotic as well as homeosmotic. Phycoosmotic as well as homeosmotic. So phycoosmotic is also generally known as phycotherms. Homeosmotic generally known as homeothermic animals. So phycoosmotic. So here they are also called as osmoconformers. And here homeosmotic also called as osmoregulators. So here phycoosmotic animals again classified into two types, stenohalide as well as euryhalide. So stenohalide and euryhalide. What is the stenohalide? So here it is mainly concerned with the marine farms where the salt concentration is more. So here stenohalide, halide is nothing but salt. So stenohalide and the animals belong to this group, so they are able to they are not able to resist, they are not able to adapt to even slight change in the salt concentration. So such animals are stenohalide animals. So that mentions stenohalide. So for example, Maya, a type of spider crab, another one is Ayas. So here these animals, so generally living in the marine water. So you know marine water is 100% salt concentrated. If they transport from 100% of salt water to 70% of the salt water, definitely then the concentration of body fluid is going to change. So they become so hypertonic, and then the external environment become hypotonic. Then they immediately die. So as they are able to adapt to the changing salt concentration. So that's the animals which are living in 100% of salt water, they can't change, they can't adapt to even a slight change in the salt concentration. So such animals are called steam having animals. The Maya and is light. Uri-Halon. So Uri-Halon, so here they are able to wide change in the salt concentration. So such animals called Uri-Halon animals. The example Mytilus as well as Apnesia. So this so based on the adapting to the salt concentration, so animals have been classified into phycoasmotic animals as well as homeoasmotic animals. Okay, so this is what osmoregulation. Osmoregulation is nothing but maintenance of constant internal environment by the movement of the water and salts from the body fluids to the external environment. So for the independent life, for the sustenance of life, so maintenance of constant internal environment is very much essential. Okay, so that is osmoregulation. Then, so general mechanism of osmoregulation. Now let us go to general mechanism of osmoregulation. So first of all, there are so various animals. Even you can take terrestrial animals or aquatic animals. They have their own mechanism for osmoregulation. So first of all, we can take the prevention of evaporation. Prevention of evaporation. So particularly some of the animals like kangaroo rat. So it's a kangaroo rat lives in the desert. So here prevention of evaporation. So prevention of evaporation is one of the mechanism of osmoregulation. So particularly the animals which are living in the dry condition, dry areas, where the scarcity of the water. So like they have the epidermal keratin. The keratin present in the skin, which prevents the evaporation in the water. So this is one of the water conservation mechanism. So that is how the water balance is maintained. As there is a scarcity in the water, so the excess of evaporation water is prevented by the epidermal keratin. Keratin is a type of substance present in the skin which prevents evaporation. So that is prevention of evaporation. And the second one is reduced glandular infiltration. Reduced glandular infiltration. So that is carried by particularly nephron kidneys. So glomerulus, this process is carried out in glomerulus. What's meant by glomerulus? Glomerulus is nothing but repeated branching of the afferent arteriole. Repeated branching of afferent arteriole in the Bowman's capsule. So that is called glomerulus. So here, when the impure blood passes through afferent arteriole into the Bowman's capsule, so there the blood is purified, blood is filtered. So here, so reduced glandular infiltration. So that depends upon the availability of the water. If there is more availability of the water, so there is more glandular infiltration. But here, in the water scarcity areas, so glandular infiltration is reduced. So what is glomerulus? It is the repeated branching of afferent arteriole through which impure blood passes into the Bowman's capsule. After that, so the water is filtered, purified, and through another anti-arteriole, afferent arteriole, so the blue blood which passes out. So it is here reduced glandular infiltration. So here next is production of hypertonic urine. So production of hypertonic urine. So production of hypertonic urine. So production of hypertonic urine is the excretion of constituted urine in mammals. So that is again the adaptation to the dry condition where water availability is very less. So here the particular animals which are living in those areas, they have efficient kidneys. They are able to excrete the concentrated urine. So that is how they are able to excrete hypertonic urine. So means so before excretion, so water is reabsorbed, particularly in the proximal columnar tubule of the nephron. So generally, nephron is divided into three. So proximal columnar tubule, distal columnar tubule, and as well as Henry's fluid. So here, when the filtrate passing through this renal corpuscle, and so where the water is reabsorbed from the urine. So before urine is the store collected and it is excreted, the water is reabsorbed from the urine. So that is how the animals, some of the animals are able to reabsorb the water from the urine. This is one of the mechanism of internal environment, constant internal environment. So particularly in mammals. So next, reabsorption of water from the urine. That is say reabsorption of water from the urine, particularly in the proximal conversion tubule. Okay. So next is water storage mechanism. So this is one of the adaptation or the methods of constant environment, that is water storage mechanism generally is seen in some of the animals like camel. So they have a structure called pump at the neck region. So particularly in rare conditions like deserts, so they won't get enough water. It's they have developed a structure called pump where they can store large amount of water where they can be without water for a few months. So that is another important mechanism for the osmoregulation. So water storage mechanism, some of them was like camel, particularly desert animals. Next is utilization of fat in food. Utilization of the fat in food. So here, so particularly if there is a water scarcity, our animals living in the areas with water scarcity, generally they feed on the fat-rich food. When they feed on the fat-rich food, so the metabolism of the fat-rich food which gives the water. So here, let's say 1 gram of protein metabolism is equal to 4 gram of water. So that is so they get the water from the metabolism of the fat-rich food. So mainly feed on the fat-rich food. This is one of the other conservation of water mechanism. So next, reabsorption of water from the fecus. This is also another important mechanism in animals where even the fecus, whatever that is the excretory material, it is obtained, it is produced after the digestion of food material, that is to be excreted out of the body. Even though it is the fecus also composed of some water, even that water is also reabsorbed before it is excreted. So reabsorption of water from the fecus. So fecus is excreted material. So before it is excreted, water is reabsorbed. So that is reabsorption of water from the fecus. Next, ureotelism. What is meant by ureotelism? Again, based on the excretory product excreted by animals. So animals are classified into 3 types. So ureotelism, first ammonotelism, ureotelism as well as ureotelism. Ammonotelism, animals which excrete ammonia as a waste product, they are called ammonotelic. Ureotelic means animals which excrete urea as a nitrogenous waste product called ureotelic. And as well as uric acid, also another excreted product. Animals which excrete this uric acid, they are called ureotelic. So here, so another one is ureotelism. Generally, how it is important. So excretion of urea which requires less water comparatively. So ammonia, excretion of ammonia which requires more water. So generally the aquatic animals which live in water, they absorb, particularly excrete ammonia as excreted product. Even uric acid also requires less water. But here excretion of urea requires less water for the excretion. Hence most of the mammals excrete urea as a nitrogenous based product. So because the excretion of urea requires less amount. It requires less amount of water. So even some of the animals, even ammonia is produced. So maybe it is converted into urea. So that is another important mechanism. So next is absence of sweat glands in animals. Absence of sweat glands. Sweat glands. Sweat glands which secrete the water out of the body. So whenever there is a high temperature in the environment, in order to balance the body temperature, so water is secreted. That is what sweat. So here the sweat glands are present in animals. So the animals which excrete out the sweat, but it is okay in particularly areas where water is normal. But in some areas where water availability is very less, where there is a problem of the excretion, sweat excretion. So here, some of the animals in rare conditions, the sweat glands are absent in the skin. So that is when the sweat glands are absent, there is no question of the sweating. Hence, water is retained in the body itself. So particularly the animals like kangaroo rat. So kangaroo rat generally lives in the desert area. So where the sweatlands are absent in the skin of those rats or kangaroo rats. Another one is temperature tolerance. Temperature tolerance is another type of another important mechanism. So where they are able to sustain more temperature, they are able to tolerate high temperature. So that is another important mechanism. And another important is thermoregulation. So here thermoregulation is one of the mechanisms which is generally adopted by animals. So but some of them minimize, so utilize minimally the thermoregulation. So that is a water conservation, water is conserved. So minimum thermoregulatory mechanism used in some of the animals. So that is how. So here the water is conserved. And so the circulation of the concentrated milk. Sometimes what you call the milk feeding animals. So the milk is so highly concentrated. So the normal concentration of the milk is generally composed of large amount of water, but here, so the highly concentrated milk they produce because of the one of the conservation method of the water. So these are the important main mechanism of osmoregulation. This is the general mechanism of osmoregulation. So that's all about the buffer action as well as osmoregulation.